Hello everyone, this is Sebastian, aka Baboscopics for PokerVIP, and today I'm back with my final part, the fourth part of this four-part video series, once again on Guts Poker. You probably have heard that introduction before. I'm gonna go for a kind of loose squeeze here. 240, about 3, about 280, about 280. Yeah. I'm just gonna assume if you got to part 4, you probably have seen the parts before this one. Adjusting my cam a bit. Oh, this guy's really short, I didn't see this. Small mistake, him being short kinda de-incentivizes me from squeezing because he's gonna shove more often, then I'm gonna have to call off with a hand that's obviously at that point, once he shoves, I'm gonna get the odds to call off, so it's at that point gonna be a plus if he call off. But it just puts us into a situation where generally with the short stack here, we would want to bluff squeeze way less. While you could argue that King Queen is not really a bluff squeeze, it's certainly not like crushed by his overcall range there, because a lot of the hands that crush us, like Ace Queen and Ace King, usually would just 3-bet and get it in. So he usually has like some small pocket pair or like some lower suited connectors, which we actually do dominate. So it might still be relatively good to squeeze there. But I still didn't see that data point, which, yeah. So yeah. So we get 3-bet here. Generally, we don't want to always call 3-bets with Ace Queen offsuited. We do want to sometimes mix in a 4-bet bluff. If we have like information, though at those tables I don't have any information basically. And in these positions we can certainly call. If this was like MP versus cutoff, for example, I would probably 4-bet or fold it. Given it's button versus cutoff though, I think his range is loose enough to just call. So that's what I'm going to do here. I could still 4-bet, it's not terrible to 4-bet, and it's also not totally terrible to just fold. But in these positions I think I can still profitably call. But it's like kinda barely, it depends on his strategy of course, which I have no clue about, so I'm just gonna assume what I assume from population, which button versus cutoff people still do 3-bet a relatively high amount, I would say. With the Queen of Diamonds for more than half pot, I'm just gonna mark this. If you bet 1/3, I would certainly peel. If I had the Ace of Diamonds, I would certainly peel, but given this situation, I'm just gonna fold. Right here, we can start with a small bet. Protection value certainly a thing. Here, usually I would start with a small c-bet, but given he's a recreational and given the positions, I'm just gonna check. He snap checks back, which usually means he has like a hand that wants to fold. Let's step now. Try to get him off king high or something. Let's hope he folds even king high. Let's bet here again for like protection and value. If he folds in like queen jack of clubs, that's a fantastic result still, because he still folds a reasonable amount of outs. And he can certainly call us with like a 5/6 type of hand. Yeah, we're cutting ourselves versus 8s and 9s, but there should be the same amount of 5/6 than 8s and 9s. He might even 3-bet the 8s and 9s, so there might be more 5s and 6s, and deuces and 3s and some 4x's. So yeah, quite comfortable about betting turn for our protection / value. But right now we're just gonna check. Some of his like floats get there, and he's never gonna turn like 8s into a bluff here, so we're just gonna check. Or like rather 5s or 6s into a bluff here. So if we are ahead, we will just win, and if we're beat by 9s, we're just gonna lose. But let's assume, or here we're gonna just call the pocket tens. Let's assume for a moment that we would have actually decided to check the turn, which I wouldn't have liked, but we would have still ended up check calling and lost the same amount versus this end. Maybe even more, probably more, because he probably would have bet bigger than our like 40% bet. So we lost the minimum there, and I feel quite good about it. On the spot, I really don't need to range bet, so I'm just gonna check, especially multi-way. So yeah, I feel really good about the turn bet there. Okay, so if you bet, this is annoying to say the least. So here's a recreational. He does c-bet multi-way in a 3-bet pot. He does 3-bet in positions where his 3-betting range should be rather strong. I think I'm still gonna peel once, just hoping he shuts down, or like, I don't know, something like that. Just hoping he has like pocket nines and no checks down. Gonna 3-bet ace-5, gonna fold to king jack, and gonna check fold to tens now. He usually has me beat here anyway, so calling, we could... flop is marginal, I don't mind just folding flop, honestly. Just straight up. If I had 9s or 8s there, I would certainly just fold flop. Just given the positions, given the situation, it's multi-way, there was a cold call in the pot. Cold call ranges usually have a lot of like middling pocket pairs, so if he's at least thinking a tiny bit about the game, he should not see that pot there with like random shit, but he might. Hence, I can't really fold because besides some random shit, he could also have a hand like 9s and 8s that goes for this big bet because he wants to get the maximum amount of protection or something. And you know, you never know, he could just fire ace queen once and then just give up. We could always turn to 10, I assume, which helps a tiny bit. I don't think we're going to generate a lot of folds by isolating, and I don't really want to isolate this for value as much because we're going to be out of position, and this hand, I mean, if I had ace queen or king queen I would isolate, so this is like on the edge. I'm just going to overlimp this hand, which might seem pretty nitty before the king and UTG. But I just don't think we're going to get the isolate through a lot, and then we're going to have to play out of position with this hand. I would rather just chill. We could lead here, by the way, but given it's 5 ways, I'm going to go a bit more, with a bit more caution. And just going to check call. Basically, I don't think our hand is strong enough to isolate, and we're often going to get like 2 callers and then going to play a pot out of position, being 3 ways with a hand that certainly has domination issues. Not so much in a limp pot, but yeah. I mean, isolating is not going to be terrible here, but I also don't think it's going to be really good. So now we could either check raise, which is kind of thin. We're targeting hands like king queen at that point, or we can just lead big and hope he has king queen and just stations us down. Hoping someone has queen 10 or king queen and just calls us down, or maybe like, I don't know, jack 10 just stations for whatever reason. I'm just going to bomb it here versus 2 weaker players. If someone has a queen, they are never going to fold, and I don't even think they're going to really fold a jack. So just going to bet relatively big there. Folding the 6-4. Yeah, but as said, isolating the queen jack wouldn't have been awful at all by any means. I just don't think it's as good of a spot as some people would perceive it to be. Given the nature of being out of position, given the nature of the isolate not going through that often. And that's me saying that who already isolated really big. Like, I'm not a friend of isolating small there, I isolate pretty hefty, and I still don't see a fold a lot. Easy fold with the king 9, nothing to do there. Would be horrible to do anything but folding there with the king 9. So yeah, I think the pocket 10s, Caspi, I would like to have some more information about him to really know how good or bad it is. I don't mind just folding there. As said, pocket 9s, pocket 8s, I just drop it. Pocket 10s, it's like on the edge. Jacks, for example, I would never fold there, or queens, for example. I would probably still have queens there, maybe would 4-bet it, but could have queens then I would never fold queens. I also would not fold queens on the turn for what it's worth. Just, yeah. And obviously we could turn jacks. And we could still have sets, but they are pretty inclined to check raise the flop there. So, I mean, honestly, we don't really have to worry with some random recreational about our like balanced calling range there or whatnot. Not at all need to worry there. Okay, just check the sound. The sound should be good. I was worried for a second that my sound settings resetted, but they didn't, so that's good. Should be loud enough. Ace King, obviously an easy open. King Jack could 3-bet, but given the positions, I'm just gonna fold. If it was a button open, I probably would 3-bet, but even then, it's like, eh. King Jack is ahead of a button opening range, but like, kinda barely. Ace 5, blind versus blind, gonna 3-bet or call, or get a walk. A walk is my favorite result there, to be quite honest. Queen Jack gonna play in one way or another. If this guy calls, I might just flat. Given this, I'm gonna squeeze. Hoping the short stack doesn't come over the top, basically. But yeah, I'm gonna squeeze this to 280. Price of poker is going up. Relatively good hand to squeeze. Obviously blocking some relatively strong hands, has a decent amount of playability, high cut strength, nut ability is reasonable. I would rather have ace queen offsuited, but I mean, that's like ace queen offsuited has like better high cut strength, but like less playability. So it depends. King 9 easy open, pocket 5's quite easy open, could fold a duty G, but MP I'm always gonna open. King 9 once again easy fold, don't need to think about it, extremely straightforward. 8-4 easy fold, 6-10 probably folding. If he min opens I call, if he 3x's I fold, if he 2.5x's I call I think. For 3x I'm just gonna fold, 4-9 pretty easy fold. Pretty trashy hand. Jack 7 not gonna open without reads, same with 7-10, would need some read that they are open folding basically. King 10 gonna 3-bet or call or open if folded to me, definitely gonna try to see a flop here. If someone 3-bets us now, we can definitely call. Easy peasy. I'm kind of even rooting for a 3-bet. Come at me. Come at me, bro. 3-bet me again. Now I have a hand to play back. Take a sip of my tea. There we go, mate. Relatively big 3-bet by him, by the way. Gonna call and flop the dream. So now the only question is, do we just small ball it or do we just shove the money in? So he's probably gonna see with ace king and ace 10 if he has those in range, which he certainly might in these positions, which he's always gonna fold if we raise here. Given the sheer amount of equity we do have, it's just gonna always be a profitable spot to get our money in. Calling is always gonna be profitable as well. I think we're gonna start by raising. Gonna raise to about, now the question is sizing. If we raise to about 7, there will be 14, there will be 18 in, and we're gonna have 12 left. Actually, I think a smaller raise kind of achieves the same, but we would have more fold equity on the turn. But I still think he's always gonna fold ace king, ace 10, that's kind of what we're targeting. Plus I do think a smaller raise might even look stronger here. So I'm gonna raise to 6, and then we have a pretty cool SPR to shove the turn with. And we can obviously call off. Basically hoping he has ace king and folds. If we get it in, we get it in good. Or I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not a like it's just pot odds. We have to call. Up versus what the fuck? No, thank you. Wow. The fuck? He ran into the best case scenario for him. Like, what? What the fuck are you doing? Here versus pot, we can't really call the 9-8. We could have 3-bet pre, but calling certainly plus EV. Okay, okay. Snap jams the ace king with the ace of clubs there. Wow. That's like, I mean, I guess wow. And now we're 2 buy-ins deep versus this rather crazy guy. We're certainly going to defend the 8-10 suited, try to flop a dream. We can't, we're just going to fold. Wow. C-bet, ace of clubs, king X on queen jack 8 club gets raised and snap jams it in. Wait, was it even on this table? Yeah, it was. Right? It was the same guy. Was it this guy? It was that guy, right? Yeah. Yeah, I opened the button. He was the. Sorry for slow for tanking it. He opened the. I opened the button. He's smaller. Yeah, it was that guy. His play is pretty outrageous. I mean, my raising range there on the flop is literally gonna be really strong draws or nuts. He's not doing very well versus the nut part of range, and versus the, we can check the equity on it. I mean, versus my hand he's doing relatively well actually, but still we have a lot of outs, or a decent amount of outs. We're gonna have about, I don't know, yeah, we are flipping on the flop. Congrats. I mean, I guess the flop was a bit different. I think this was an 8 of clubs and a jack of spades, so yeah, we're like 49% on the flop, given that hand. If we have 10-9 suited, well, he has 15%. if we do have like pocket jacks, well, he has 16%, right? So versus our range, like given like queens, then like queen jack suited, and like 10-9 suited. And then we have combo draws raising. He's even blocking some combo draws. So versus our range, he's like doing, yeah, he has like 25%ish versus our range there. And does he have fold equity on the flop? Who knows? I mean, am I really raising? Maybe raising some bluffs there, like ace 10 backdoor flush draw, and then I guess folding to a jam, even though it's like close to a call at that point of ace 10 backdoor flush draw. Which, like, even if we have like the ace 10 with the backdoor flush draw there, we still have 30% equity versus his hand. So, I mean, I don't know. His play is pretty outrageous. I guess from a balance point of view, he should probably check that board to begin with, and then he should not have a shoving range probably. So he only should have a call range versus my raise or fold. And his hand would probably, like, in theory, be a call versus my raise because he beats my bluffs and he has equity. It's probably never a rejam with his hand, and it's probably just a check call on the flop to begin with. So all in all, his play there is pretty outrageous. Yeah, and yeah, giving our play, we were hoping he had ace king. We were hoping he would fold to a raise. I guess sizing down makes it so that his ace king with the ace of clubs, which is granted not a lot of combinations, it's 3 combinations, could call. Here we flop top set was a non-fold stacker. Gonna opt to bet. I think that sizing is fine. We could probably size up a bit. No 4 straight, it's a 4 straight. We can check back and then just bluff catch river. Guess that's what we're gonna do. Hoping river is not like, I don't know, not a 7. Something. A board pair would obviously be the best. And it's a board pair. If he leads, we're gonna shove. Yep, we're gonna shove. There is no part of me that wants to raise smaller. There are $4 and he has $6 behind. If he has a 7, he's never gonna fold. If he has a hand like Jack 10, he's always gonna fold. And I mean, yeah, he might lead like ace 80 and then fold to a raise. Maybe he just doesn't. On this spot, I don't really have to see with my range, so I'm just gonna check and realize an equity. And here we're gonna just fake tank a bit and then gonna shove the pocket nines. I'm gonna just check down the king eye here, try to improve. On this river, I'm probably gonna bluff, trying to get him off ace high or some really weak pair. I'm gonna bluff right. I have pretty good blockers, and I'm gonna bet relatively big. Let's hope we can get him off at least ace high. Maybe some pairs. He just lead folds there, probably hand like queen jack, jack 10, which by checking back turn we did allow him to realize his equity, but we also did allow him to bluff on the river and take off a bluff there. I mean, I think that hand played pretty straightforwardly. Jack 10, pretty easy call, pretty easy check call, given most situations. So yeah, sizing wise, you can do a lot of things in the king 10 club hand, club hand. You can honestly just shove the flop and it's going to be profitable because he's going to have a lot of ace kings and ace 10s that are just going to fold. And I mean, we can demonstrate something like if he has top set there in the king 10 of clubs hand. Here we're just going to call for half pot, backdoor stuff. King of clubs, 10 of clubs was queen queen. On the queen of clubs, 8 of clubs, jack of whatever, spades. If he has top set there, so pocket queens. Just gonna check, and here I want to check as well. We have 40% versus top set there. Holy crap. If he has queen jack suited there, we are flipping versus top 2 there with king 10 of clubs. That's how good our hand is. So yeah. On this river, I'm gonna assume that this shorty has not an ace, but the other guy could have an ace. Here we're gonna lead kind of small, blocker bet, trying to get paid. Right here we're gonna probably so the thing is, do we want to I'm not 100% sure about sizing. I'm gonna take a middling biggish sizing. I do want to get called by a queen by the short stacker, and I do think player 3 definitely has some ace X's here, but if I bet like the whole stack of the short stacker, I think he could even fold some of his ace X's depending on how competent he is. So I'm gonna take a medium. Oh god, oh gosh. Well, we are uncapped. I'm gonna fold the pocket fives here. We are uncapped. We look strong. He's not gonna fuck around here. It's a really huge shove. It's $7 in and he shoves for like $24. So yeah, just gonna fold for like 3x pot or whatever that was. Kind of straightforward. It's a bit sad to fold trips there, but just like given our range, trips is not even like that amazingly far up. We can have boats, we can have the nuts straight. We easily can have ace jack, right? We can still have pocket fives, we can still have queen jack. We don't have to raise that on the flop on such a dry texture. We can still have king jack, which I guess makes no difference. It's a what was the board? Ace jack, jack queen. So I guess the king jack is a tad better than the jack 10, but it's really not a big difference. It's kind of the same hand, honestly, at that point as played. But yeah, we can have king 10, we can have ace jack, we can have fives, we can have queen jack. All possible. And in terms of what he has, he probably has just ace jack there, I would have to guess. Like check calling the flop. Check calling versus a bad call. Already kind of weird. He might have like top set pocket queens there. That sometimes traps there. This guy's limping again. I'll mark him as a recreational. Ace queen on this texture. I really don't need to see red range here, so I won't. Just gonna check fold in a multi-way situation. Versus a limper. Let's just go ahead and bet relatively big with our top pair on a relatively wet texture and just get value. He leads here on a turn that we are perceived to hit a ton. He leads into two players, he leads pretty big. I'm actually going to just fold the ace queen here with a player behind, given this this card definitely hits our range pretty hard. He leads on the jack of diamonds, which usually means he just has a jack. We do have outs versus a jack, and we do have implied outs if we hit. If we hit our diamond, he's always going to stack off with a hand like ace jack. If we hit our king, he's probably still going to give us a street of action. So we're certainly going to peel, and we're going to hope he doesn't shove to river and we can just check down and win. Or we're just going to hit. But if we call and river is like a blank and he snap shoves, I'm just going to fold my top pair. We hit. That's a pretty good river. He could have queen jack. That's like the only thing I'm afraid of, queen jack. I guess ace. I don't even know what ace x of diamonds he could have. Ace. No, there shouldn't really be any ace x of diamonds in his range. So the only hand that really worries me is, I guess, queen jack. Oh, checks. So at this point, I think we're always good. I don't think he's going to check queen jack if he's really dead. Or he disconnected. Okay, I'm going to max tank here and give him the maximum chance to come back, because I do think I'm usually good here and I do want to get paid. So yeah, we're going to wait the maximum here so he can get back to call us. Maybe he has a better hand and through the disconnect he folds. That would be sweet, eh? Giving him a chance to reconnect. Gonna jam. So yeah, if he has queen jack, which given he has a disconnect, he still very well could have queen jack, but he also could just have jack 10, jack 9, ace jack, which I don't think I ever gonna fold. So let's just get some value. And who knows, maybe he does a call with like king queen that super stupidly played. I mean, he's probably going to fold due to the disconnect, which probably is a bad result given... I mean, it's a lucky result that we get there on the river, but it's an unlucky result that he disconnects. Not really going to ramble about whether the disconnect of him is lucky or unlucky, I guess. But it's rather unlucky than lucky. It's lucky we have queen jack. Yeah. So far so good. Hitting our outs. Running okay. Running good, to be quite honest. King queen gonna probably be 3-bet. Yep, we are ahead of button range. We can get, this is a value 3-bet. If you forward to have a snap fold, not close. Yeah, the jack 10 of spades was a pretty straightforward fold, I'd say. Not really worried about that at all. He also has like the shorty behind, which he's never bluffing in the Jack-10 of spades spot. And then it's like the thing, what do we hope we see? Like, what hand can we actually see that we beat? Like 10-9, that check calls the flop in first place and instead of c-betting, which would be unlikely because it's hand that just kind of always c-bet. And then he shoves the river for 3 spots? No, that's just not realistic. And like what? Jack-9, which we only chop against because we are playing ace, queen, jack, jack, jack. So like, we still lose to king jack, we still lose to boats, we still lose to straights, which granted straights probably see it as well. The 8-9 multi-way doesn't play that well, but we got a pretty good price. I'm just gonna come in, but it certainly is close. Could definitely fold 8-9 here. Given rake, it's probably more of a fold than a call, but I'm not that confident about that statement. And I do want to get into the mix, play some hands, provide you with some entertainment. Oh, we do turn a gut shot, I guess, but let's be honest. That's not a gut shot you want to hit. Jack 5, readless, just gonna fold. I mean, with the open in front of us, it's just always gonna be a fold. If it folds to us, we could consider to do something like opening. At higher stakes, at really higher stakes, we could consider to limp such hands, but we are far away from those stakes because that usually would mean, I would say, at least 500 NL, probably at least 2k NL to consider having a limping range in a small blind. Else, it's just not good because of break. Drinking some green tea. Folding some garbagey hands. By the way, if you have any ideas about like new content, new videos, hook me up. Shoot me a mail, a personal message or whatever, or like type something into the comments. Or if you have any sort of feedback, always open for feedback, criticism. As always, if you have any questions about hands, I think this session was actually kind of full of reasonably interesting hands. Go ahead and ask. I'm always ready to speak about poker. 8-10 for 2.5x, relatively close. I would defend 9-10 suited, 9-10 off, I mean. The 8-10 I'm gonna ditch. It's close. I did just make a loose call with the 8-9. Let's go with a disciplined fold this time. Queen 8, given no reads, I'm not sure if this, like, I would like to have a read here, but I'm just gonna go with my population read that plays overfold the big blinds and under 3-bet. So I'm just gonna open a relatively marginal holding. We get it through, so it has to be good. King 10, gonna fold, gonna open if folded to and gonna fold now. Deuce 9, pretty easy fold. If we would have limp strategy, this would maybe make it into a limp, but barely. Probably not even. Deuce 9 offsuited will be a hand that we're never gonna see a flop with in the button here. Ace 3, gonna probably 3-bet up. Open if folded to, pocket 5s. Gonna see what happens. We have some options there. Opening the ace 3. Quite happily so. Opening the pocket 5s, quite happily so. Getting the ace 3 through, that's a good result. Pocket 6s, gonna open as well. We get 3-bet here, so we're gonna do some quick math. What I always do in terms of like set mining, I do take the amount we have to call. If we're out of position, the amount we have to call times 20, and that if that equals the effective stacks behind, I'm gonna set mine. Which 120 is 24, which kind of means it's a break-even call. So let's go with a break-even call. On the left-hand table, we sadly don't get action for ourselves. Pocket 5 is just an easy check fold on the spot, even with the diamonds. Gonna still keep on checking, potentially turn into a bluff on the river. Yeah, he snap checks back, which could mean two things. It could mean he's in bluff catching mode and he's never gonna fold if I bet, or he has pocket queens and he's always gonna fold, or like pocket nines. I'm not confident, and I've already tanked a bit, which makes it more likely I get hero calls. I'm actually gonna just give up here. Obviously, could have some worse hands and pocket fives, and I mean we're realistically never gonna win here. We still have a pair, so we even in theory don't need to bluff this. And I don't like that's hand. I would assume it's not gonna snap us on the river, and it's never gonna fold. So saved some money there. But it's like not unreasonable to bluff. He could have like tens, nines, queens that are certainly gonna fold. I would assume they are gonna fold. Like I'm not even that sure about that, but probably. In these positions, the ace queen is really not doing that well. I would really like to have some hot stats here to know how aggro is. I have no read on him. He's going with a relatively large free betting sizing, not super large, but relatively large. I guess for the sake of the recording, let's get into the mix, but I think this is close and potentially losing a bit. Never gonna be losing hugely. And on this flop, we're just gonna fold regardless of his c-betting sizing. Even if he won thirds, he can easily one third. I mean, I would call ace king with a backdoor there, and I still have all my ace kings there. I'm not 4-betting them MP versus small blind, usually without a read. So as a standard, I would flat them. And he could just c-bet ace king there and just... That's a hand that totally crushes us, which means we do have to bluff later on with our hand. So then for that matter, I would at least rather want to have some backdoors, like Jack 10 with a backdoor flush draw, to then have like some turns I can barrel him off his ace kings, while unblocking his ace kings with a Jack 10 backdoor flush draw. Will unblock his ace kings and ace queens that are just gonna fold to a turn barrel, for instance. And I can pick up some equity like an open ender, a gut shot, or a flush draw. While with ace queen, I cannot really pick up any equity. I can potentially bluff him off hand like ace king, even though I do block it. And even if we turn our ace, which is like one of our good turns, perceived good turns, he can easily just have ace king, and we're gonna probably pay 2 streets again. So we end up losing 3 streets if we turn like the ace, or like 2.5 streets. And if you turn the queen, well, that's relatively good, because now we do beat ace king and we do beat like jacks and tens, which is like good. But then again, if he has like kings and aces, we're still gonna lose a decent bit. So I think all in all, peeling there is not gonna be profitable, so I won't do it. A lot of gibberish, a lot of talking about a pretty, I would say, trivial spot. 5-6 suited, usually not an open UTG, but given this is going to be our last orbit, let's get into the mix. Yeah, we're actually in the big blind in all tables, so I'm going to play the 5-6 out, and given it's 4 ways, I'm not going to c-bet. I don't really have any equity. Yeah, I do have some really weak backdoors, but given it's 4 ways, I'm just going to give up. Yeah, just gonna fold. Relatively interesting session, relatively interesting spots. As always, any questions, any feedback, go to the comment section, shoot me a PM. I hope you will be back for my next video series. If you did enjoy the content, go ahead, check out my other content. I think I currently have about, adding this video on top, 13 videos on PokerVIP. So there's one on TonyBet, another one on Guards, then there's one on PokerStars and Zoom. So yeah, make sure to check those out if you enjoyed this content. And yeah, wishing you a good week, wishing you a good grind, and peace.